Hello there, and welcome to this pick a card reading. Today we're going to be looking into what is coming up next in your journey. We have 3 different piles to choose from, pile 1, 2, and 3. Timestamps are below, and I'll see you in your group. Hello there, group number 1. I've got your cards here. We'll flip them over together here in just a moment. But the first sort of intuitive messages that I'm getting for you, I was hearing something about gathering the leaves, and it was bringing me to this concept like in the fall, in the autumn time, when leaves fall from the trees, and you rake them up and you put them into a pile. And sometimes, depending on your situation, you might just leave them there in the pile and they sort of disintegrate there, and it serves as compost for new growth later on down the line, just in the earth's natural cycles and everything. But sometimes you will gather up all of these leaves and use them for like a bonfire, like dry them out and use them for like a fire starter or starting a bonfire, grilling out, something like that, right? And I'm getting the sense that there's a part of you that you've recently shed and let go of. It's like the shedding of the leaves, right? And you're in this state of like acceptance. Like you've accepted that it's happened, that you can't change. Like the change has already occurred, right? So you can't change the fact that the change has happened. You can't go back to who or what you were prior to this change occurring. And so now you're in the process of gathering the leaves and figuring out, well, where do I go from here? There's also this energy here with gathering up the leaves, maybe setting up a bonfire or something. It's like you've closed out a lesson. There may have been like a repeating pattern in your life, in the story of your life, in the themes of your life that you just sort of kept bumping heads with, bumping up against over and over and over again. And because of the recent shedding that has occurred, and not just because of the shedding, but like your acceptance of it, your willingness to accept it, that lesson has now been cleared. It's cut. It's been learned. You don't have to keep doing it over and over again. So the next part of your journey then, I feel it would be, it's going to be very, very different than what anything else that you've ever experienced or known up until this point. Most likely in a good way, right? Because we're talking about closing out lessons and cycles and such. But let's see your oracle cards and we'll keep going with that. Okay, so here we have Narcissist, Trickster, the Tower. Okay. Well, damn. Okay. So, okay, so this is speaking a lot towards the energies that you have been coming up against, the lessons that you've had to learn again and again and again. And the reason why this is coming up in a reading about what's coming next in your journey is not necessarily because like you're doomed to continue to experience this, but you are going to be tested. Like your strength of will, it will be tested, I'm hearing. Your discernment will be tested. Specifically with this trickster, how he's holding a mask, and I think is that like a knife or a dagger or something that he's holding there as well. But yeah, there's something here where you have learned this lesson, but you will have to face this demon again. And I know that's like not what you want to hear. I work with the Morrigan, and she's also who I channel. So like we often will get these very confronting, truthful messages. But yeah, this is not something that's over in the sense of you're never going to encounter a narcissistic person or a person with narcissistic traits ever again. You're never going to encounter someone who is going to have ulterior motives ever again, because like that's just life. It's unrealistic to think that we will just reach a certain point in our healing journey or in our shadow work journey where the only people that we will ever meet ever are going to be like amazing, beautiful people who just have the best of intentions. And like that's not the way that it works, unfortunately. So I think, you know, yes, you have learned your lesson with this type of energy, with this type of person, specifically with the Tower here. In this deck, I do read the Tower similar to just like in the tarot as well, the Tower in the tarot, where it's like a big sort of divine destruction moment, right? You have learned your lesson with this, but it doesn't mean that you're not going to encounter it ever again, if that makes any sense. And I think maybe the reason why this is coming up is because, okay, what I'm hearing is that there are actually, I'm hearing there is a narcissist in your midst. Mist? I don't know. There's a narcissist in your midst. There is someone in your life who is kind of like a weed that you're needing to weed out. Someone who has two faces. They have two sides to them. They might very easily be persuaded to stab you in the back. Or maybe they don't even necessarily need to be persuaded, and it's just like when it's comfortable for them, when it's convenient for them, they would throw you under the bus rather than do the right thing. So this next upcoming part, this next chapter of your life, is you implementing the lessons that you have learned and allowing the burning, the bonfire, to light your path forward and bring you to wherever it is that you're going, where you actually want to be. Let's get some tarot today. I'm using the Hush Tarot for today's reading. That one wants to come out, okay. It's saying reverse, so that's what we're gonna do. Okay. At the bottom, at the bottom we have the Queen of Wands. And this is really interesting because it's like she's creating something. She's kind of weaving something. Hopefully it will pick up on camera, but she's got these threads. She's weaving something together using her arrow. And there's this bird that's presumably maybe drowning in the water. She's not really acting on it to like help him, right? But he's sort of coming up to the surface just to ask her for help. So there's something about people sort of coming up out of the blue, out of nowhere to ask you for help. And asking for help, this can be a very like literal thing, like they're asking you to help them move or like drive them to the airport or something like that. Or it could be people coming in and popping up out of nowhere and being like, hey, I know we haven't talked in a while. I hope you're doing well, but you just give like the best advice and I really need advice with this. I need guidance with this thing. And so then you're sort of stuck doing all of the emotional labor and like pulling them out from the water, saving them from drowning in their own emotions. And they keep like putting that responsibility onto you when it's not it's not your responsibility. Okay, so these cards flipped over on their own. Whenever that happens, I take that as a sign that we need to look at these first. So we have the Hermit as well as the Six of Cups. I feel that you may have had this sense of like isolation from a very young age with the Six of Cups. And this is, oh, okay. This is actually part of, if not the actual pattern that you're breaking. And you're able to do this by utilizing your discernment and sniffing out the tricksters, sniffing out the narcissists, weeding them out. So you're able to step out of hermit mode by utilizing your discernment, by utilizing your intuition, your instincts. You may have grown up in a situation where like you were the only quote unquote sane one. Like you were the one who was like seeing what was actually going on in your family dynamics. Even though the adults in the situation weren't really picking up on it, you were picking up on it, and it sort of left you feeling like you might be a little crazy sometimes. But you were actually the sane one. Okay, let's look at your other tarot cards. Four of Swords, and this was the one that wanted to be in reverse. And that's coming up underneath Narcissist. Pay attention to people who pop up and ask you for things. Again, whether it's like literal things or they're asking you to do them favors or asking you for advice, guidance, just listening to them whine, generally speaking. Pay attention to people who pop up when you are literally resting, like in moments of rest, in moments of restoration, in moments where you feel like, I can finally breathe. I finally have space. When people show up in those moments that you haven't heard from in 3, 6, 8 months or however long, and like asking you for something, that's how you know. That's a hint, I should say. Because the thing is, you already know. How do you know? You just know, right? You just know. But this can be a little hint for you of validation if and when this happens. Okay, so underneath the trickster, we have the Nine of Cups. Yeah, I mean, I feel like you're just kind of surrounded by energies that are really out for themselves and just looking for their own satisfaction. They don't really have your best interest in mind. And I'm not saying that everyone around you is like this, but there's just very specific energies that keep pulling at you, that keep disturbing your peace, literally and figuratively, disturbing your rest because they want something from you. And so what you're being called to in this next part of your journey is to recognize when that's happening and set a boundary so that you don't have to have a burning moment, a tower moment again and again and again and again. So another thing too is like if you've been feeling like, oh, I can't ever just settle. Like I can't settle, Four of Swords in reverse. I can't settle. I can't set down roots anywhere. I can't ever just be wherever it is that I am. You know, I have to keep moving around, or I have to keep changing jobs. I have to keep changing friend groups. I have to keep blah, 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 blah. The way in which you're going to stop having to quote unquote die all the time so much is through acknowledging and abiding by is the word that's coming to mind. Abiding by your instincts. when it comes to people. Okay, to close out the message, I'm going to get one of these. And I most likely will be reading from the book as well, because I typically do with these cards. What is the final message here for group number 1 for this next part of their journey? This one. Okay. So you have light the darkness. Light the darkness. I mean, yeah, just in the image, I will read the book as well, but just in the image, like, it's very clear to me, this is you, like, leading yourself forward. You have your talisman, which is your intuition, which is your instinct. Why does it light up? Because it is light. It's made of light. Why are you so intuitive? Because you are intuition. Like, you are made of this mystical psychic stuff. Like, it's just you. It's just who you are. So you just have to trust yourself. You just have to follow that light. Okay, so reading the guidebook here for this card. Light the darkness, clarity. The key word is clarity. Holding out her hand, a shrouded figure suspends a necklace before our eyes. The light of the pentacle brightens the dark room, showing every crack within the brickwork and the delicate silvery webs. What we could not see before is now illuminated. This card cuts through the darkness and helps you to see clearly. During times of worry or fear, it can highlight a positive sign that is headed your way or a snippet of new information that will allow for better understanding of a situation that has been confusing you. Maybe the situation that's been confusing you, like this guidebook is saying, is this relationship with this person or group of people, or just like a repeating energy that keeps popping up for you. If you have drawn this card, it might be time to still your mind and keep alert. Clarity or understanding could be within your grasp if you only open your eyes and ears. The words of a friend, the lines of a song, or a seemingly random message from an unexpected source could provide the answer that you have been looking for. Clarity shines a light into the darker rooms of existence that are filled with uncertainty. When this card arrives in your readings, know that the situation you asked about will soon become more comprehensible. All right, so group 1, this was your message. Hope you enjoyed, and I hope that it resonated, and I hope to see you next time. Bye. Hello, the group number 2. Welcome to your portion of the reading. I've got your cards here. We'll flip them over together in just a sec. But what I'm picking up on for you as far as what is waiting for you in this next part of your journey, what you're about to encounter, what you need to know and understand, the word gravitas is really coming up and standing out to me for some reason. I'm not even totally exactly sure what that word means off the top of my head. I mean, I'm pretty sure it means like something like people are kind of drawn to you. Like you have a lot of gravitas, like charisma, that type of a thing. Yeah. But whatever the case, there is this energy around you of here soon, if it's not already happening by the time you're listening to this reading, people are going to be drawn to you, like more apparently is the way that it's being phrased to me. So it's going to become more apparent to you that people are indeed drawn to you. People want to hear what you have to say. When you listen, when you speak, people listen. And that was interesting too. I got the phrase kind of jumbled. When you listen, people speak. So it goes both ways then, I feel. So like when you speak, people listen, but also when you are available and when you're open to it, when you're available to listen, when you're in that mode, people actually open up to you. You could be like a counselor or a therapist, or even a tarot reader, like something like that where you are listening to people, advising people in some way. Yeah. But whatever the case is, whether or not this has to do with your actual job or profession, people are going to be more drawn to you more clearly, more cleanly. It's going to become much more apparent to you that this is actually what's happening, that you actually have some kind of effect and impact that is very positive on the people around you. Okay, so let's look at your cards. Okay, so here we have False Messiah, Disciple. Okay, that's really interesting right off the bat. False Messiah with Disciple. And Risk. Ooh. Ooh, okay. Make sure you can see everything. Okay, so this is really interesting. I'm picking up that whatever you're doing, like I was saying with like counseling, or if you are like a tarot reader or some kind of advisor or something, whatever niche that you are in, whatever industry, quotation marks, that you are in, because it doesn't have to be like your job or professional career type of thing, but whatever area that this is applying for you, there is someone who is also in this industry or niche who is a false messiah. Like they're making promises to people that they cannot keep. They are making really big claims about things. They're being very grandiose, I'm hearing. And there's a difference there, right, between like grandiose and gravitas, which is the word that I was getting for you before. Because gravitas is like, it's like something in your aura, right? It's something in your aura. It's your energy. It's your vibe. It's just something about how you are and who you are. Whereas grandiosity is like a mask that someone's putting on to try and make themselves appear bigger and better and faster and stronger than they really truly are. And there's something within this industry or niche or area that there's someone within this who has kind of gained some kind of following. And this next part of your journey is taking the risk on inserting yourself into that area, inserting yourself into that niche or industry or job market or whatever. And what's really important for you is to keep in mind the reasons why you're doing this. Because I do see this being, I mean, it's risky, first of all, but it's also just hard. And the thing is, when you are someone who is genuinely good at something, when you are genuinely good at something, you are much more likely to like question yourself about it because you have the knowledge of what it takes to be good at it. And so, especially if you're like a perfectionist, right, you're always going to be somewhat falling short of like your own idea of what you quote unquote should be if you're going to be this thing. So it's really easy to fall into that like imposter syndrome. What's really funny about this though is this person or group or whatever who is this false messiah, they never experience imposter syndrome. They never experience imposter syndrome because they have never stopped to take a breather. They've never stopped to do any kind of self-reflection. They've never stopped to ask themselves, am I leading these people who are following me? Whether we're talking about social media or like otherwise, who are relying on me in some way. Am I leading them correctly? Bad leaders don't think about whether or not they're being a good leader. I'm going to say that again because my voice cracked. Bad leaders do not worry and do not think about whether or not they're being a good leader. Okay. Wow. I gotta say, I really feel the Morrigan with this group. I don't know if you work with the Morrigan or not, but yeah. Let's get some tarot cards for you. The Fool. Being a little cheeky here because this is coming up right underneath the false messiah. It's a dual message because it's kind of like the people who think that they are the messiah are really the fools, right? They're really the imposters. But also it's the fool as in tarot speak, in tarot language, there's this new beginning, this new endeavor, new I just keep hearing the word industry that you're embarking on, this new journey that you're embarking on, new thing that you're creating. It is a fresh, brand new start. You're starting at stage 0. I'm hearing also patient 0, like patient 0, which I believe that's like, so like if there's some kind of pandemic or like illness going around, patient 0 is like the first person to have gotten it. Or like the first known recorded person, I should say, to have gotten it. So there's something I'm hearing spreading like wildfire. So there's something here about whenever you start this thing, it is going to spread. It's going to... yeah, it's going to spread. And this is in a positive way. I mean, obviously, I don't think you're creating like an illness. It's just sometimes that's how my spirit team communicates things to me in kind of weird, funny ways. So, okay, let's get another card. 6 of Pentacles. 6 of Pentacles. On the contrary, you're going to be healing a lot of people with whatever it is that you're doing. So it's sort of like the false messiah was patient 0 for this specific like illness, and then you're patient 0 for the cure, and you are starting something, beginning something, giving something out, creating a new project that is going to help balance the scales and become the antidote for this ickiness, whatever has been spread. Can you tell me more about the ickiness? What is the false messiah about? Can we get any more specifics on that? At the bottom, you have Hanged Man, the Hanged Man. Okay, so to clarify false messiah further, we have the 2 of Pentacles, the Queen of Cups, and the King of Cups. Okay, that's really interesting. So this could be like, because we have 2, so 2 of Pentacles, and then Queen and King of Cups. This could be like a couple, like a husband and a wife, or whatever they happen to be. Gender doesn't really matter. It's just the way that the pairings are shown within the tarot. But it could be a couple of people, whether they're best friends or if they're romantic partners, if they're married, whatever, that are kind of behind this. And there's some kind of like gatekeeping here, because the bird is holding a key ring, but the key ring actually has a bobby pin on it, if you can see that on camera. which is really interesting because it's, again, pointing to this idea that they are, in fact, a quote-unquote false messiah. They're not what they say that they are. They say they're trying to gatekeep something, and they say that they have the keys, but actually the only way that they were able to get in was that they broke in anyway. So they're pretending. They're pretending to have figured it out. They're pretending to have gotten it right, to be the answer, to be the Messiah, but they don't really have the keys. Since they're coming out as Queen and King of Cups as well, there could be some emotional manipulation going on. This King of Cups is really interesting to me because, I mean, I know that it is liquid because it's King of Cups, but in his cup it looks like he's holding fire with the coloring of this particular card. So again, it's like they're presenting themselves as one thing on the outside, but on the inside there's something very different. Yeah, I think that's all the information that I'm going to get about the false messiah energy here. Let's, can I get one more card to clarify risk here? Three of Cups. You're building something that is similar to, but also entirely different from whatever it is that they've got going on over here. Because they have the Two of Pentacles, and we have, it's sort of like the procession, of course, from like 2 and then to 3, right? But you're in two different universes. You're in two different, I'm hearing universities. I don't know. You're in two different schools of thought. You're in two different worlds. But the difference is you actually are what it is that you claim to be. You actually are what it is that you say that you are. They're claiming to be the King and Queen of Cups, but inside their cup, they're actually holding fire. They claim to have the key, but they actually just broke in. You actually do have the key. You actually do have the key, and you're building something with it. And it may actually genuinely be very risky to do so. Because like another thing that I'm getting with the risk and the Six of Pentacles, it's kind of like a, I don't know, like a Harriet Tubman vibe. Like you're going underneath, you're going underground to go in and get people out of a bad situation. This could be literal or metaphorical. I think we're done with, are we done with tarot? Yeah, we're done with tarot. Oh, gonna knock over my drink there. Let's get you one last oracle card. I'm gonna use this deck. This is the Gothic or Anne Stokes Gothic Oracle. And I usually read the guidebook with these as well. Any final messages to clarify for group number 2, the next part of their journey? This one, okay. So you have the Black Unicorn. The Black Unicorn. You're not, like, part of what makes this so risky, I feel like, is, I mean, yes, it's the presence of this false messiah energy, whatever that is in this situation for you. But deeper than that, like, you're not what people expect. You know, like, it's like people hear a stampede and they expect horses, but then it's zebras. You're not what people expect. And that in itself can be inherently dangerous sometimes, unfortunately. Okay, so the guidebook for Black Unicorn. The keyword is independence. A dynamic unicorn rears up on its hind legs. Majestic and high above the world, he commands respect from all who see him. Black unicorns are less familiar than white ones, but they do have their own place in mythology. Known as a symbol of freedom, their character is not the same as that of their white cousins. With great strength and hunting prowess, the black unicorn is a creature of fierce independence and sometimes rebellion. Yeah, you're rebelling against the norm. You're rebelling against this false messiah. It's like, if you're familiar with tarot language, it's like the Hierophant in reverse. It's like a toxic Hierophant or a toxic emperor kind of energy. Someone who stole the throne as opposed to have like earned it. And you're rebelling against that, which is dangerous. It's risky, but it's worth it. Okay, occasionally we need to stand on our own 2 feet. When this card appears in a reading, it is suggesting that now is not a time to rely on others, but to stand confidently in your own beliefs and take charge of your life. This card is, in many ways, a symbol of choice, since it is in our decisions that we exercise our power and independent thinking. Whether you choose to be self-sufficient and decide to go it alone or make a stand, potentially pushing against the flow, doing so will command respect from others and put you in a league of your own. Yes, this is exactly what we're talking about here. Like, just the mere fact that you're doing this, that you're willing to take this risk, is going to make people who have previously been following this false messiah, it's going to make something click and they're going to be like, wait, what am I doing here? What's happening? I don't have to do this. This is not, like, necessary. And that is what's going to be spreading like wildfire in this industry, niche, area of interest, whatever this happens to be for you. Okay. All right, so group number 2, this was your message. I hope this was resonant and helpful. If so, I would appreciate a like, comment, share, subscribe, all the good stuff. You know what to do. But thanks so much, and I hope to see you next time. Bye-bye. Hello there, group number 3. I've got your cards here, and we'll flip them over together in just a moment. But the first thing that's coming through intuitively for what is next on your journey, I'm hearing that you are forging a path through the forest. You're forging a path through the forest. So there has been this sense of like wandering and not really knowing where you're going or what you're doing, just feeling kind of lost, and it's been contributing to or directly creating this big sense of like fatigue that you've been having. I'm getting, now I'm not a therapist, I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm not a psychologist, and I'm certainly not like your practitioner, right? So, you know, this is a YouTube tarot reading. Take it however seriously or unseriously as you wish. But I am picking up on a sense of like maybe a little bit of depression here. Just feeling like you don't really care about much anymore. Like there are just things that you used to care about that you're finding it difficult to engage with or care about more recently. Or maybe that's where you have been. That's kind of like the forest like that you're wandering through. But you're finding a path. That's the message of what's coming next for you on your journey, is that you're actually coming up to a path, and you're going to, you either already have or you will decide to take that path. And it's going to change the course of your life. Because you're no longer just wandering around. It's like you have a goal, you have a set destination. Destiny? Destination, destiny. There's somewhere specific that you're meant to go. Somewhere specific that you're meant to be. Maybe you're relocating. But yeah, there's somewhere specific that you're meant to be, and there's a group of people or certain persons, certain energies that you're meant to be with and around. And this path that you choose, that you will be choosing, if you haven't done so already, is going to take you there, and it's going to take you to destiny. Okay. Big message, no pressure, right? From depression to destiny. There we go. Okay, sorry. Let's look at your cards. Okay, so you have sacrifice, impulsiveness, and friend. Yeah, so with the friend, it's like there's certain people that you're meant to be with, be around at this time. And with the chess pieces being moved around on the board, again, it's bringing up that idea of relocating. I'm also hearing rotation. So you might be on this rotation. Maybe you're something's coming full circle. Maybe you're moving back to a place that you used to live. And if that's the case, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're supposed to be around the people that you were around before. But yeah, maybe that's just for one person. But anyway, this next part of your journey, you stepping onto this path, getting to wherever it is that you're meant to be, it's going to require some sacrifice, and it's going to require a bit of impulsiveness. And we often think about impulsivity, being impulsive, as something that's like negative, like, oh, you're not thinking about it, you're just doing it. Sometimes that's what we have to do. Because if we sit there and think about it, then it's never going to actually get done. We just have to not think and just do, and then maybe we'll think about it later. I'm not suggesting that this is the way that you should live the entirety of your life, but when we are in this stage of like just sort of wandering around, or maybe feeling a bit down in the dumps about XYZ, sometimes it does help whenever we see something that sort of makes our heart jump a little bit, and just like, ooh, like it wakes something up in you. It can be all too easy to just sort of back off from it and be like, well, I don't want to be impulsive. I don't want to ruin anything. I don't want to blah, blah, blah. But what are you ruining? What are you ruining by stepping onto the path that is taking you where the fuck you're supposed to go? Like, what are you ruining about that? And I'm saying that a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but I do recognize, since the sacrifice card is here, there are some things that you are probably sacrificing in order to step onto that path. But I think what the Morrigan, because she's who I channel with, but what they're trying to say here really is that yes, you're having to sacrifice this thing or these things, these relationships, whatever it might be. But what you're going to get in return is going to make it feel like it wasn't what sacrifice. I had nothing compared to what you're going to have. Okay. I'm also hearing something about your willingness to sacrifice, your willingness to go out onto the battlefield, your willingness to fight for things that you believe in and people that you love. I think you are a warrior, maybe literal, maybe you're a veteran, I don't know. But regardless, you are a spiritual, emotional, psychological warrior, in the sense of things keep happening that are trying to like quite literally take you out, and you're just taking it. You're rolling with it. And the first few times that it happens, you can kind of laugh it off, or you kind of feel like big tough guy, like, oh, I can do it, look at me, I'm surviving, yeah. But then like when that becomes your lifestyle, it can really wear a person down. And so what the Morrigan is saying is that She recognizes the sacrifices that you have made as well as the sacrifices that you have been willing to make over the years. But what this new path or new fate, this new destiny that you are stepping into is requiring of you is no longer to sacrifice yourself again and again and again and again. It's actually requiring you to be a little bit impulsive rather than being this like stubborn warrior who's like fighting for his king's right to a certain piece of land, becoming a little bit rebellious and being like, you know what, fuck this, I'm strong, I can fight, but I want to fight for myself. I want to fight for what's good for me, not for what's good for whoever's sitting on the throne over there. Because what do they have to do with me? But that's the thing. If you sit there and think about it, you're never going to actually do it. So maybe just do it. Just do it. Like Nike. And then think about it later. Funny that I mentioned the king, and here we have a king, King of Pentacles. At the bottom, you have the moon. Yeah, this is sort of like getting stuck in your own head. Getting stuck in your own head, getting stuck in your own emotions. With the sacrifice here, there could be something about like, what's that called? Like the sunk cost fallacy. It's like the more time that we spend with something, the more money that we spend on something, the more emotions that we invest into something, the less likely we are to walk away from it, even when it is like the right thing to do. When it would behoove us to walk away, we don't, because we're like, I've already spent so much time, money, effort, energy, etc. here. I've already sacrificed so much to hold on to this. Why would I just give it up? Okay. So underneath friend, we have the King of Pentacles. The people that are going to be coming into your life in this next part of your journey are going to be very pragmatic. They're going to be very stable. They're going to be very secure. Maybe not quite so emotional. Maybe not quite so emotional. Yeah, and that's going to feel weird. It's going to feel weird to be with people or try to get close to people who don't share this level of like primal, feral warriorship with you. And it might feel like you're the odd one out from time to time. You may feel, sometimes you may even feel like, oh, these people are not on my level type of a thing. Not in any way of like to boost your ego, but just on your level in the sense of being a warrior, whether literal or metaphorical. But it's going to feel like, oh man, these people are not on the same level. We're not on the same wavelength. We're not talking about the same things. And sometimes there can just be a mismatch there. But what I'm getting with this is that this is actually what you need. You actually need new kinds of energy, new kinds of people, new environments to balance you out, to help pull out this impulsiveness so that you're not just stuck in the routine. Here you have the Magician, and it's coming up underneath impulsiveness. Yeah, I mean, again, it's just feeling like you're feeling down on yourself, and you're feeling like, oh, I can't do this because XYZ. I don't have this together. I don't have a plan. I don't have everything that I need. But the magician is literally like, no, but you do, though. You do have everything that you need. And this magician card is always really interesting to me because either one of two things are happening. This woman has either killed this wolf and is now in the process of making like taxidermy out of it, or she's like trying to put it back together. I'm sure the guidebook for this deck says what she's trying to do, but I always just I don't really look at the guidebook for tarot decks, really. But anyway, yeah, so this is like you needing to make the choice, though, between what it is that you're going to do. Are you going to endlessly... okay. Are you going to continue to endlessly fail at recreating something that once was? Or will you allow yourself to taxidermy it, memorialize it, honor it for what it was, but realize that that's not what is? And that's the impulsive thing that you're needing to do, is actually to let go and to release and to move on. Okay, so underneath sacrifice, we have the wheel, it's Wheel of Fortune, and the Nine of Wands. Yeah, the Nine of Wands is the warrior card too. In traditional Rider-Waite tarot, it's usually a guy who's all bandaged up. He's holding a wand, and he's kind of trying to build a boundary, build a gate, to keep the enemy out. So what Spirit, what the Morrigan is wanting you to understand is that if you continue to try and bring this thing back to life, if you continue to just wander around the forest, because that's what you've always done, you're not really sacrificing what you think you're sacrificing. What you're sacrificing is your ability to grow and change, which is then doing you a disservice, and it's keeping you from where it is that you're meant to be. It's keeping you from moving on. It's keeping you from meeting these new people that are actually going to be very good for you. They're going to be very different than what you're used to, but they're going to be very good for you. So you need to recognize that if you are to keep doing what it is that you're doing, you're not really hurting anyone or anything except for yourself. But if you allow yourself to have that, even if it's just a moment of impulsivity where you find the path and you just start running as fast and as hard as you can, and you'll get so far down the path before that anxiety brain will come back on and be like, but wait, what am I doing? Well, here I am. Let's just keep going, Okay. So to close out your reading, I'm going to grab one of these. And I typically do read the guidebook as well for these cards. Okay, Black Unicorn. This is the same card that Group 2 got, which is interesting. But yeah, I'll go ahead and just read it, because anything I get intuitively with this will be tainted since I literally just read this card. So I'll just read it again. Okay, Black Unicorn, Independence. A dynamic unicorn rears up on its hind legs. Majestic and high above the world, he commands respect from all who see him. Black unicorns are less familiar than white ones, but they do have their own place in mythology. Again, that having less familiarity is something that's important here. You're going to be walking a path and going to places that are not familiar to you, but that's actually what makes them exactly what you need. You need to change things up. You need different people, environments, people, places, things. Okay. Known as a symbol of freedom, their character is not the same as that of their white cousins. With great strength and hunting prowess, the black unicorn is a creature of fierce independence and sometimes rebellion. Occasionally, we need to stand on our own 2 feet. When this card appears in a reading, it is suggesting that now is not a time to rely on others, but to stand confidently in your own beliefs and take charge of your life. This card is, in many ways, a symbol of choice. Choosing to step on that path, allowing yourself to be impulsive. Since it is in our decisions that we exercise our power and independent thinking. Whether you choose to be self-sufficient and decide to go it alone or make a stand, potentially pushing against the flow, doing so will command respect from others and put you in a league of your own. Okay, so group number 3, this was your message. I hope that this was resonant and helpful. If so, I would appreciate a like, a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. But yeah, I hope to see you in the next one. Bye-bye.